thank you very much for your time. So the latest release from you came out, before Thanksgiving, so it's a bit of a gift. When did you actually finish it?
Oh well, it is a long story because, of course, everybody's affected by the COVID, and everybody had to deal with the COVID, with the shutdown, and this is actually a tragical moment for mankind, and this is actually a test of character for all of us in many ways, many ways, and my aspect was that for decades the audience gave me the privilege to allow me to create and allow me into their life and as a musician. And
Right.
so it was time to give something back to the audience and to so just that was my vision, and just to create something very special in the momentum because. Like in the end of the 60s, our father generation felt that that society needs the voice of music, prog rock and meaningful pop music. That's the same situation now because we have so many challenges. And the message is Utopia for Realists is clearly that the old rebels like me and the young rebels get together and trying to overcome together all the challenges in the society.
Mm-hmm. Right. And the album, per usual, features some excellent players because the Soulmates is a very elite crew of musicians. Some of the Soulmates have been nominated for Grammys this year, like Corey Henry and Randy Brecker. What does it take to be a Mandoki Soulmate? Is there a criteria? Are these artists that you were fans of first?
Uh, it's a criteria to in many ways. Obviously, it's a criteria so far that I'm saying. Of course, the Soulmates must be excellent players. I mean, it's just extraordinary and in a way, and very excellent, not only the virtuoso, but also in the sense of excellence that they are very special, very personal, quite quickly recognizable, unique personality. Give you an example, Al Di Meola, you recognize within seconds that Al Di Meola is playing. So Al Di Meola is not playing like anyone else. Al Di Meola has always been a very special player. The same goes to Randy Brecker or Corey Henry. So that you have here a unique genius, blessing personalities. They are differing from the normal in actually in every way. And this is the one thing. The other thing is to have a certain message, to stand up for something. What is important in a society for the responsibility of us musicians, artists, for the people that they're giving us the chance to be who we are, and this is our audience. So this is actually a social message there, Utopia for Realists, to raise our voice for a better world, to overcome all the challenges in misusing the nature. And you know that we're living in a gap, so we are living in a divided society, and
Yeah.
standing for mutual values to overcome this division.
I understand what you're saying. I had the pleasure about 3 years ago of seeing you and the Soulmates at the Beacon Theater in New York City. That was a big gig, very exciting. We saw members of Toto and Cutting Crew on stage with you. Obviously, the state of the world has changed since then. But any idea when we might see another concert from the Mandoki Soulmates in New York City?
Of course, I mean New York City is the capital of mankind. So it's a magnifying glass for everything what mankind does. So every musician is by heart a New Yorker. This is throughout the world. No other city in the world was influencing music as much as New York. So being here now, right, and having wonderful times with my soulmates, and making interviews, and but also part of that having fun, having great Thanksgiving celebration all together with Aldi Maola's house in New Jersey. So we are, in a sense, although let's say I'm a Hungarian refugee who escaped communism, but in a many sense, although I'm living in Europe, we are all in a way a New Yorker, you know. So this is what it is. So this is this city is so special. This is a greatest melting pot of mankind.
When was your first trip to New York City? Do you remember?
Yeah, actually, as I was in a refugee camp, and I was 22 and a half, the American in Europe resettlement officer was asking, what would be your first wish to go where? When now you have a passport, because I'm born in a communist country, I never had a passport. So, and then I said, of course, the very first trip shall take me to New York City. This is the capital of mankind, and it has always been my dream. And I've been probably 80 times here in my life, or even more, and always spending it. And in a certain way, I feel myself as a New Yorker. So I don't know how to express this any better, but although I'm staying here in a hotel when I'm here, so I don't have an apartment here, but or a place. But I played so many times in hotel in studios where I was staying here for 2-3 weeks, and so I feel myself very much as a New Yorker.
It's very good to hear that you still love New York, because a lot of people have moved away from New York, or they feel that it's become too commercial. It doesn't have that edge anymore. Do you feel as strongly about New York now as you did 20 years ago, 30 years ago?
We have to make it edgy. So this is our responsibility. So an artist should not move away from New York that doesn't feel edgy enough. This is our job to keep it as edgy as it should be. So because New York always going to be the place to hold the flag up to be different, because this is a magnifying glass for and the test of everything for the rest of the world. So this is elementally important.
That makes sense to me. If you've been to New York as many times as you're saying, you must now at this point feel like it's your second home, that Germany is number one and New York is number two.
Culturally, I would say that it's rather New York is the number one, because culturally New York is unbeatable. You know, when it comes down to cultural aspects of life, you know, so this then New York is absolutely unbeatable.
Sure.
I think, of course, when my studios are in Munich, and so Lake Stromberg, so of course I'm not resident or not local here at all, and my kids are, you know, but also, let's take an example of my children. They were in New York probably more often than anywhere else in the world, and even if they were just about 6 months old, they had to already come to New York City. So this is New York City is I always told also to my kids, New York City is the place to learn about mankind and also about tolerance.
Right.
So this is absolutely important, you know, because nowhere else in the world you can see how important tolerance is as in New York.
Well, a question that I have, because you've played with so many interesting and top-notch performers, one of them being Steve Lukather. Steve Lukather from Toto is kind of the gateway connector to just about every genre and every player who can play. But did that ever lead you to meeting or playing with any members of Van Halen?
Actually, in my case, I think that Luke is an excellent and wonderful, full, a sensational guitar player, and I have the honor and the privilege to have actually him and Aldi Mola and Mike Stern, so three extraordinary, mind blowing guitar player to have the privilege to work with on the 30 years in Soulmates. Uh, uh, but nevertheless, honestly, Luke was always a phenomenal guitar player in my life, but he was not the kind of the gate, that he was never connecting me with anyone. So rather, he's explaining in our videos very often that he was connected through Soulmates to people like Bill Evans or Mike Stern or Aldi Mola and all the rest of the gang. So because we are bridging over what is Soulmates actually is all about. Um, Actually, to one hand side, British prog rock, when it comes down to the intellectuality, the complexity, and all these aspects of life,
Right.
the political, socially relevant lyrics, very complex production values. This is what makes Soulmates some kind of Brit prog rock thing. On the other hand side, is I was always, as a teenager, was very attracted by the New Yorker vision of jazz rock, virtuosity, a brilliant soloistical things, and the combination of those two is actually what it is, and this is somehow the vision for my, refugee from Hungary, as I was raising my voice against communists with prog and jazz rock, that to meld together this British prog rock like Ian Anderson of Jefferson,
Yeah.
or Jack Bruce of Cream, together with the brilliance of Aldi Mola or Randy Brecker or Bill Evans and so on. So one hand side, John Halliwell of Supertramp, so the represent the British, or Ian Anderson, and the other hand side, the soloistical brilliance of Randy Brecker, Aldi Mola, Mike Stern, and so on.
Well, my last question for you is: we talked about Utopia for Realists, came out earlier this year, get great reviews, people are excited about it. Do you have any plans for 2022, or are you just waiting to see what happens in the world before you make any plans?
We're constantly making plans, and we constantly have to change them. So, because I think I'm one of those, or put this way around, the most of the musicians are blaming our life that they can't have to cancel concerts and they can't go out. I have another voice, another message. I have to be ready to light up the light at the end of the COVID tunnel. The audience were giving us so much for decades. Now it's time to give back, and to say, hey, here we are for you. This is our message. Let's live an utopia for realists. Let's change the world to a better place. My generation did something right. We brought down the Iron Curtain and overcame the Soviet Union, the so-called second world, what was from North Korea to Cuba. So we overcame communism in not everywhere, but most of the places. But after 32 years of freedom, also in Europe's eastern part, we have to realize that we did a lot of things wrong. And here, an utopia for realists is the answer. Music is the answer. Music is the greatest unifier. We have to overcome this division in a society. That's what I'm here for, and that cannot stop just because of the COVID.
Well said. Todd Rundgren was always saying love is the answer, but you're saying music is the answer. I think you're both right.
Music, music is the answer, and then after that, music is the greatest unifier.
Agreed. Well, thank you so much for your time. I really do hope that there's a live performance from you in the near future in New York and more music. So congratulations on the success of Utopia for Realists, and keep up the greatness and the contributions you're giving to the world in a variety of ways, Leslie.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and I love to talk to you. You give me a mail or drop me a message, and I'll be back to you anytime. Thank you so much. Very kind.
Thank you. Have a great rest of the day. Take care.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Paltrocast.